If you can help them to pay off early, then your rate of return is going to go much higher than 16%. Some of my deals, I can get 88, 90, 100% on my money, and people think that's some really difficult, sophisticated, oh my God, how am I going to do the calculations and all that? And all I did was help them refinance and pay off.
Welcome to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association, providing benefits and services to real estate investors and rental property owners for over 48 years. With your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group.
This episode is sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com. Hello and welcome to episode 211. Note buying is a super hot investment strategy, and my guest today, Donna Bauer, knows how to do it the right way. She began buying notes 20 years ago as a way to support her 4 young boys while still remaining a stay-at-home mom. Today, she is the nation's most recognized authority on note buying, and as the founder and president of NoteBuyer, Inc., her strategies on note buying and short sales have had tremendous results for her students and investors. Donna will also be a featured speaker at the 2020 Michigan Landlord and Real Estate Investor Annual Conference and Expo right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, next month, February 27th through 29th of 2020. And you can go to rpoaonline.org to find out more. Now, Donna was a guest 2 years ago on this podcast, and you can listen to her episode, which is number 106, to learn more about her background and the basics of her strategies of investing in performing notes. Now, today we're going to do a deeper dive into the advantages of buying performing notes, as well as a $100,000 challenge that Donna took on not too long ago, and she's going to tell us about that. Donna, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
I love having you on the show. I really enjoyed when you came to speak at the RPOA annual conference 2 years ago. I even bought your package.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's a fantastic package. I bought the calculator and learned how to do all the calculations. So it's great to have you coming back. Without going over the ground that we've already gone over in our last conversation, and people can listen to episode 106 to get all that, I'd like to just begin by asking you, what are the advantages of investing in performing notes?
Oh, I love to talk about that because notes are, they used to be the best kept secret in real estate all the way around, but there have been people in recent years that have jumped on the bandwagon. But in general, most people have no idea how easy it is to do notes and how profitable they can be. And many, many times I run into people and they say, oh, Donna, after we learn how to do real estate and we get some properties under our belt, then we're going to do notes. And I think, wait a minute, you're going about this all wrong. You ought to start with the notes, and then if you really want the properties, then use some defaulted notes to buy the properties, The thing is that when you, with the notes, you have all of the security that you have as if you own the property, but you don't have any of the headaches because you don't own the property. You never have to deal with tenants. There's no rehabs involved. You don't have carrying costs. You never have negative cash flows. And so when you look at that, and then you realize that you can make full-time profits for part-time effort. I could do one note deal, and it'd take 15 to 20 hours to put that deal together, and I can make way, way more money than my friends who have PhDs. And, when you compare the time that is invested, and they give you freedom. You can totally do the deals when you want to. Like if let's say you want to take off for the summer because your kids are home. Well, don't send out any letters. Don't do your marketing. But when they go back to school, you beef up your marketing and start, doing some deals again. And so it gives you such flexibility. Overall, the way I see it for me, and I think for many, many of my students, the notes not only give you the money to live the quality of life that you want, but that more importantly, that give you the time to live it. Because so many people are caught up in making money. They're working 60, 80 hours a week, and they don't even have time to enjoy it. And so with note buying, you get the best of both worlds. And the entire time that you're working on it, if you follow my program, every note that you have will always be very well secured by real estate.
Great. And then just to give a brief reminder of what the basics are here, very briefly, what is note buying? And your strategy is buying performing notes. So just give us a synopsis of what that means.
A very basic, I call it my salmon bill deal, a flip where you flip a seller carryback note. You find someone who owned their own home free and clear. They sold it and they said, I'll be the bank. You can pay me over the next 20 years. And so they collect payments for a couple years. And then all of a sudden they go, wait a minute, I need my money now. Well, I would step in and I would cash them out of it now. So I'd say, hey, I'll buy those remaining 18 years of payments from you. They can make payments to me. And I give the original homeowner a lump sum of cash. They go on their way, never have anything to do with the note again. And now the homeowner is going to pay me instead. Brian, it's much like when you own your own home and you get a letter from the bank, they've sold your mortgage to somebody else. Same kind of thing.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Now, recently you took on a challenge. One of your friends challenged you as to what you would do with $100,000. Can you talk about that and share the details with us?
I would love to. So I have this friend who is just getting into notes. And he said, Donna, here's the thing. I would like to give you $100,000 and we'll use that for notes. He didn't mean literally give me. This is a scenario, okay? We didn't actually do this, but this is what I've laid out for him to do. He said, if I give you $100,000, I want to see what you can do with that. What could I expect to make on $100,000? But the caveat is that I want it back in my IRA in 1 year. I don't want to just put it out there for 20 years. Every year, I want to see my money in my IRA. And so I got to thinking, okay, how are we going to do this? And I ran some scenarios of one deal in the different ways that it can be done. I want to give you a little bit of background on it first. So what most people don't realize about the discounted notes is there are actually two profit centers in a discounted note. Obviously, there's whatever interest rate they're paying. So if they're paying 7% and you buy that note, you're going to be collecting that 7% interest for as long as they have that note out. But what makes the discounted notes so cool, where you can make completely outrageous rates of return on your money, is that you never pay full price for them. You always buy them at a discount. So let's say there's $127,000 left owing on this note, and they're paying 7% interest. I might only buy that for $100,000. Okay, so in addition to the 7% interest that the borrower is going to pay each month, I've just built in $27,000 of extra profit. And that's what allows you to get phenomenal rates of return. And the fact is that when you negotiate that discount, well, let's just use this example. Let's say that somebody approaches me with a note and the balance owing is, and I'm rounding numbers, okay, $127,000, 7% interest. There's 36 monthly payments of $865, and then there's this balloon at the end. So a balloon at the end of 3 years. So the balloon amount would be $122,000. So what would happen is if I buy that for just $100,000, now I've built in $27,000 of profit. If that goes the full term and it does not pay off early, because I've got that extra profit in there, it works out that I'd actually, if you put a calculator to this, you'd find out that you'd actually make 16% on your money. And it's because you paid less for that mortgage. You don't have $127,000 invested in this note. You're going to be receiving payments that they're making based on 127, but you've only got 100,000 invested. And because you have less invested, that's what gives you a higher return. And in this particular case, if you bought this note and you held it to the full term, then you would make 16% on your money.
Let me ask you, Donna, because you talked about the two profit centers. When you say 16% on your money, is that just in the monthly payments that you're receiving for the next 36 months?
That is the monthly payments and the balloon.
Okay, so altogether, adding up your monthly payments plus the balloon payment when it comes due.
Right. So there's a $127,000 balance owed. And if I pay $100,000 for the balance owed, that would give me a 16% return.
Gotcha. Okay. But
the beauty of it is that that $27,000 of extra profit, that 16% is assuming it takes 3 years to pay off. But if it pays off early, and I get, which would you rather have, Brian, $27,000 paid over 3 years, or would you like to have $27,000 in 90 days?
Well, $27,000 in 90 days is worth more than $27,000 in 3 years.
You're not kidding.
I'd like to take a moment to tell you about Green Property Management. Not only do they manage everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area, they also manage my entire portfolio. So I can tell you from personal experience that their unique flat fee management style is worth a closer look. If you feel that your property isn't operating to its fullest potential, then Green Property Management can help you take a holistic approach that will save you money, eliminate your headaches, and increase your net income. And if you're a property manager interested in applying Green Property Management's model, give them a call at 1-866-95-GREEN or visit them on the web at greenpropertymgt.com. And their first month's management fee will be half off for all new clients who sign up between now and the RPOA's annual conference in February.
Whenever you buy a note at a discount and you've built in this extra profit, you're going to get a higher rate of return, even if they do nothing but just sit back and pay over time. But if you can help them to pay off early, then your rate of return is going to go much higher than 16%. And it's amazing. Like some of my deals, I can get 88, 90, 100% on my money. And people think that's some really difficult, sophisticated, oh my God, how am I going to do the calculations and all that? And all I did was help them refinance and pay off. It is the simplest thing that you can do with notes and get totally crazy rates of return. And most people aren't even aware of it. So that's the premise of what this challenge is based on, that when you buy a note at a discount, and you get it to pay off early, then your rate of return is going to go up. Let me go through just another little scenario. When I first started almost 30 years ago, I had $3,500 in my IRA. I bought a $7,000 little second mortgage. And I don't buy seconds now, but back then I did. So I bought this $7,000 second mortgage. I negotiated and I got them to refinance and pay me off. So now, do you see that I had $7,000 in my IRA? I didn't make another $3,500 contribution. I just invested my original $3,500. I got them to pay off, and now I've got $7,000 sitting in my IRA. So I turned around and I bought a $12,000 note because I'm buying it at a discount. So I worked with them. I got them to refinance. Now I've got $12,000 in my IRA. I just added $5,000 to my IRA, but it didn't come because I made a contribution. It was profit from my deal. Okay. So now I got $12,000 in my IRA, and then I turned around and bought a $20,000 note, and I haven't stopped since. And all of that just from initial $3,500 that I happen to have in my IRA when I started doing notes. And so that's the beauty of it. You have to realize when you buy discounted notes, you're going to negotiate this extra profit in the form of a discount. And people are afraid of that. And it's like, what does that mean? Oh my gosh, this is a little scary. No, it's not. Have you ever bought anything on sale? I mean, think of it like that. I love buying things on sale. Well, notes are on sale every day. And so when you buy a note and you're going to pay 20% less than the going amount for it, that gives you a very, very hefty discount. And that's what enables you to make these amazing rates of return.
How do you go about working with the person who was paying on that note? How do you go about working with them to either refinance it or pay it off?
I just simply call them up and I say, hey, interest rates are real low right now, and I happen to have, what you always want to do is you want to have a mortgage broker that you can refer them to. Like on your team, you should have mortgage brokers. And you want to find someone who, if they have a glitch in their credit, they'll help them fix the glitch, help them bring their credit score up, and work with them to get them refinanced. And so I tell them, hey, would you be interested? I can help. I can introduce you to this mortgage broker, help you to refinance, and you could save so much, on your monthly payment. You could even, if you knew that you had a $27,000 profit that you're going to receive, heck, offer to pay their closing costs. Say, I really could use this cash right now. If you're interested in refinancing and paying me off, heck, I'll cover all your closing costs. Okay, so give them an incentive to pay you off early.
Let's get back to your $100,000 challenge.
Okay. I'm ready to do it now. So I'm going to show you this. This is what I gave to my friend Mark. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find this note, and we'll use the same example I just told you about. And you're going to buy this note. It has a $127,000 balance, and you can buy it and use your IRA money. Okay. And you buy this note for $100,000. Now, normally, what I teach people to do is you don't even use your own money. You set up a simultaneous close and you just flip the note. So you could be buying this note for $100,000. If you have an investor that wants a 10% return and you're buying this note at a 16% return, that means that the investor would pay $117,000. So let me back up there because I want to make sure everybody gets this. The secret to making money when you flip a note is you get it under contract. In this case, I can buy this note for $100,000, and if I put my own money in it, I would be making 16% over the next 3 years. But I don't have $100,000, let's say. So instead, I go find an investor who wants a lower rate of return than 16%, because those two numbers, those values, are inversely proportional. The lower the rate of return somebody wants, the more they're going to pay for the note. So if I have an investor who would be happy with a 10% rate of return, they pay $117,000 for this note. So I could buy it for $100, sell it for $117, never have any of my own money invested in, and make $17,000 right off the bat. And then in that case, my investor is the one that is going to collect the monthly payments and the balloon for 3 years. Now, that is the primary thing that I teach people to do. And I teach them all different aspects and all kinds of very cool strategies with notes. But that is the typical thing that most people start out with, particularly if you don't have any cash or credit to get started. It's a very easy transaction to do.
Yeah, the thing I love about that example, which is a real world example, you just made $17,000. but you don't have any of your own money into it. Therefore, you can't even calculate your return on investment.
That's exactly right. It's infinite. It is your rate of return is infinite because you have no money invested. Okay, so I show this to my friend Mark that, hey, you could just buy this and hold it, and if you didn't flip it to somebody else, if you bought it for $100,000, then you'd be making 16%. So you could just buy this note, $127,000 note, you pay $100,000 from your IRA, and your IRA over the next 3 years would be making 16%. Okay, and so assuming he does that, and let's say he starts working with the borrower right away and says, hey, my little spiel that I just gave you, interest rates are low right now. Can I help you to refinance? And let's say it takes them 3 months to refinance and pay him off. Well, if it takes 3 months to do that, and then the borrower refinances, his total profit on that, because he's collected 3 months of payments as well, okay, and he would wind up with $29,487 worth of profit. And when you look at a $100,000 investment and in 3 months making $29,487, that works out to be, and it's not like a cash on cash rate of return. I'm using what is called yield to maturity. Okay, it's what is the rate of return on this. If you invest $100,000, you collect 3 monthly payments, then you get paid off in full, you would be making 108% in your IRA.
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
And if you tell somebody they can make 108%, they think that, oh, it sounds too good to be true. It is. It is not. This is such a simple thing, and it's all because of the beauty of being able to buy a note at a discount. You build in your profit, you help the people to pay off, and so you realize this profit, the profit you were expecting to get over 3 years or 30 years or whatever it was. Instead, you collect it in a matter of a couple months, and your rate of return skyrockets. Okay? So if he did that, he could turn around and buy another note and do it all over again. Or he could just sit on it, which would be pretty silly to do. I would never encourage someone to negotiate an early payoff if he was making 16% on his money, okay? I would not work with them to get an early payoff and then just let that money sit there. Why would you give up a 16% rate of return to put it in some 2% CD or something? So if you are negotiating the early payoffs, it's very important that when you get that cash, you turn around and you buy another discounted note. You just do it all over again. Okay?
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so
build that velocity of money.
Exactly. So then people will say, well, Donna, what happens if these people aren't interested in refinancing? Now you're stuck with the note. Okay, so his parameter to me was that I needed to have his $100,000 back in his IRA within a year. So let's say you've worked with them for 10 months and they're dragging their feet and they're not going to refinance. Well, you already know that you built in, if you had flipped it right away, you would have made $17,000 right then. Okay, so you've built in a profit. So if they're not going to refinance and pay you off, just flip it then. If you want, you can just keep holding it in your IRA and make the 16% interest. But if you want your cash, you flip it then. And in that case, if he had held that note for 10 months and collected 10 monthly payments of $865, okay, in addition to selling it to an investor, his profit would be $27,000. So in 10 months, he'd make $27,412, and that would give him a 30% interest rate. So comparing the three scenarios, if you flip it right away and you have none of your own money invested, you have an infinite rate of return. You wind up with a lump sum of cash over $17,000. The ideal thing is as soon as you buy it, you start working with the borrower, you get them to refinance. And in this particular case, you would realize if they pay off in 3 months, you would make $29,487 profit. That would be 108% return on your money. Or you hold it for 10 months, and so you're collecting monthly payments, then flip it to your investor, in which case you're going to make 30%. And the reason for that difference is you still have got an early payoff, okay? So that's going to increase it from your 16%, but because it didn't happen quite as fast as that second scenario, instead of 108, you're only going to make 30. Oh, that sounds pretty bad. You're only going to make 30, Brian, you poor thing.
I think most people would be thrilled with 30% returns.
Exactly. So I hope what I really wanted to show with this is that people think that they have to go into the note business. That is the farthest thing from the truth. Not most, but a lot of my successful students, they're professional people. Doctors, attorneys, real estate investors. They're people that they don't want to do notes full time, but they'd be crazy not to do 1, 2, 3 notes a year. I mean, on the average, it takes, I'm just going to call it 20 hours to do a simple flip, 15 to 20 hours. And so, I mean, if you can make $17,000, is that worth putting 20 hours into it? I mean, if you could put $17,000 into your IRA, wouldn't that be worth putting 20 hours a year into doing notes?
Yeah, that's a relatively small investment of time to make that kind of return.
Exactly. And then take it a step further, spend a little bit more time helping them to refinance. It could go up to 108%. You could be putting almost $30,000 in your IRA on one transaction.
Well, what's the time commitment in learning how to do this in the first place? And I know you're a coach and you have your educational material. What kind of time investment should someone expect to have to put into this? Well,
can I talk about my coaching program? Because that's designed to help people get started right away. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what I've been doing for years that works really, really well is if you get my home study program, I ask that people at least listen. It's 12 hours of CDs. It's on a flash drive. So at least listen to the 12 hours so that you have an overview. You have a general understanding of how it works. And then focus on the marketing. And I have some great videos and audios from my academy. I do a 4-day academy once a year. And included in the home study course is the media set from the academy. And I go into great detail there on how to do your marketing, like 20 different ways to find notes. Most people do direct mail because it's just a matter you buy the mailing list, send out letters or postcards, and then take the phone calls. But referrals are great. You can get referrals from attorneys, from title companies, realtors, mortgage brokers, anybody who has anything to do with notes. CPAs and financial planners know people who are holding notes. I love probate attorneys. It is one of my favorite. Home builders. But you decide what is best for you. Some people just go to meetup groups. You can get notes from your local, property association group. Whatever works for you. Okay, so you find the note and then you fill out the submission form and send it over to me. And at that point, that's when my coaching actually starts. and I walk you through the whole transaction. Brian, it is hands down the best way to learn because you've got all the support stuff in the background. You've got the videos and the books and manuals and everything, so you can go through and get all the details. But more importantly, we're working a real live deal that you're going to make money on. And I'm teaching you firsthand, this is what we need to do. And so I evaluate it, and I write out the evaluation, and I write out the offer. So I email that over to you. You literally can read. I don't recommend it. I'd ad lib it. But you could read, or you could email the offer to the people. I take the guesswork completely out of it so that you know exactly what you're doing, and I walk you through the whole thing. So most people, they spend a couple weeks working on maybe they want a website set up so that they can collect information over the internet if somebody wants to submit a note on their website, and they buy their list and start sending out mail. And if you jump in and do the marketing, you can have a note under contract in 30 days, and then it takes 30 to 45 days to close it. So it's very realistic that you could be making money in 90 days.
That's great. And what I'm curious what the quality of the notes that you're buying are. Are they land contracts, contract for deeds, or traditional mortgages? I mean, what type of notes are you buying?
I'm pretty picky. My investors like passive income, and so they're looking for notes that are higher quality, good pay history, no lates. 5 days late or something, but no 30 days late or anything like that. So I'm looking. I make sure there's plenty of equity. We want an 80% or less loan to value. We want seasoning on it, which is how long have they been making payments. So we take a look at that. So that would be the primary thing that I'm looking for. Now, I have been buying a lot of land contracts, but here in Ohio, oh my God, I think there's a war on land contracts right now. I would be more inclined at this point in time to, if somebody has a land contract that they want to sell, I'll do what I used to do, and that is just ask them. I'd work with the buyer to just go ahead and convert it to a mortgage before I buy it. I think that's a much cleaner way to do it. And that's assuming that they have a decent down payment and there's some equity in it, and it's got to be a decent deal to begin with. It's not going to be one of these no money down land contracts, put $500 down and buy it. And I'm not interested in that kind of thing. But assuming that it is a viable, safe deal, then I would convert it to a mortgage and buy the mortgage.
And you focus on acquiring performing notes. What's your take on non-performing notes? Those notes that are, the homeowner isn't actually paying, or has gone through a period where they haven't paid on time. Are you buying those as well, and what's your perspective on them?
Well, over the years, I have bought more than my share of non-performing notes. I was the one that started the thing of going to the bank, and we'd do short sales, and then I would convert the banks and, hey, wouldn't it be better if we bought the note from you? So I did a lot of educating to the banks that, hey, as private investors, as private real estate investors, we can be a great outsource for your non-performing notes. However, I think that window has been closing now for several years since the downturn, and I don't want to be too negative, because I was doing non-performing notes back in the early 90s. I mean, before there was ever any kind of a huge downturn where the market was flooded with them. And there will always be non-performing notes. But for people that are thinking, oh, I'm going to just focus on the non-performers, I think that bandwagon, it's a little late to get on that bandwagon. But Brian, that being said, man, what I would be doing is I would be getting my ducks in a row, and I would be ready for the next downturn. I would learn how to do notes. I would have all my systems set up and in place so that when it happens, man, you can start rocking and rolling, because that's when you can really capitalize on the non-performing notes. And you can make more money with non-performing notes in a down market. Okay, you can make more money on non-performing notes than you can on flipping the seller carrybacks. But when I look at the headaches that I went through on a non-performing note and all you have to deal with, and then I look over here that I could flip a seller carryback and make $27,000, with 30, 40 hours worth of work, why would I want to go do those non-performing notes? Why would I want that risk of owning a property? You buy the note and then you've got to get the deed. You don't know if there's going to be assessments on it. You could have taxes that weren't paid, building orders and stuff. Non-performing notes are much riskier than the performing. And so what I would say is everybody has their own comfort level. And if you are really gung-ho real estate and you own 50 properties and you're rehabbing and flipping and all of that, then man, you really need to think about doing some non-performing notes and getting ready for the next downturn, because that is right up your alley. But when I weigh the time and the risk, even though you make more money on it, I prefer doing the seller carrybacks just because that's my lifestyle. That's what I like to do.
For those who are able to come hear you speak at the RPOA annual conference, which is happening this February 27th through 29th here in Grand Rapids, what would you say to them as to why they need to come hear you speak live?
It will be an eye-opener. Notes are not some sophisticated secret thing. They are not difficult to do. They're much, much easier than owning the real property. You can definitely do it on a part-time basis. To me, the beauty of doing notes is that you can tailor make a game plan, first of all, to fit whatever situation you're in. You have $1 million you want to invest? Man, I don't know of a better way to get it out there than secured by notes, real estate notes, by real property. Or maybe you just went through a bankruptcy and you have no cash and no credit. No problem. Flip a seller carryback. You don't need your own cash or credit to get started. Or maybe you've got $30,000 in an IRA, and how can I get started with just a little bit, or $500 in an IRA? It doesn't matter. Whatever your situation is, I can show you how to use notes to really dramatically improve your financial future. So that's the first thing, that I can help you to tailor make something to fit your situation. But I can also help you to tailor make something to fit your goals. So as I was mentioning before, for professional people, sometimes it's a matter of hey, they just want an extra $25,000 a year. How can they get that? Or they've got $100,000 a year coming in of extra income that in their 401k or whatever, and they want to know how they can safely and easily, quickly get that invested. So it depends on what people's goals are, and it depends on what their situation is. But I promise you, I could show them a scenario where they could use notes to meet their needs and their goals.
Donna, you mentioned the economy and the next downturn. I'm curious, as we wrap it up here, what is your perspective on the market today, and are you anticipating that downturn sometime soon?
Well, without a doubt, it is coming. We all know that because that's the nature of the real estate market. It is cyclical. I think it depends on who you talk to. There's certainly pockets where in the United States where, values are still going up, and there's other pockets that are going down. I don't have a crystal ball. I think it's inevitable that's going to happen. But to me, my thing is you go with the flow. and you need to be prepared regardless of what the market is. And that's one of the beauties about doing notes, is that there's always a strategy for every market. Because if you think about it, if it's not an all-cash deal, it's going to involve a note. So whether you're flipping seller carryback notes, whether you're creating notes, maybe you're a landlord, and maybe you're a landlord and you want to retire, and you're thinking, oh man, I got to start selling off my properties. No, don't do that. Instead, you could sell your property, but sell it with seller financing. Carry back a note. And I think seller carrybacks to me are the landlord's pension plan. It's a built-in plan that they have, and a lot of people aren't even aware of it. But it is a great way to relieve yourself of all the headache of managing the property and owning it, and at the same time you've got the security and you've got a nice return on your investment.
Well, Donna, this has been great. I'm really looking forward to hearing you speak when you come to the 2020 Michigan Landlord and Real Estate Investor Annual Conference here in Grand Rapids. It's next month, February 27th through 29th of 2020. And I want to remind everyone, you can go to rpoaonline.org to find out more and to register. Donna, you're going to be talking about buying notes, the fastest, easiest, safest way to make huge profits in real estate. And it's really been a pleasure talking to you again. I always enjoy our conversations, and I loved hearing you speak last time. I actually bought your package, and it's fantastic. So I can't wait to have you, to see you when you come back. And I want to thank you for this conversation.
Well, thank you for having me, and look forward to seeing you at the event as well.
I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. I'm your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group, and you can find out more about me by going to higinvestor.com. That's higinvestor.com. And you can also ask questions and join us on Facebook by going to RPOA, Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast. This episode was sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com.
You've been listening to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association. You can find out more at rpoaonline.org. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and review.